Hello. Sorry. Hello and welcome everyone to DTC 80, number 80, I believe. Apologies for not being here last week. It was a really big day. In fact, it's been a big couple of weeks. Once again, I am not in YouTube, so I have no idea who's here. I'm having questions forwarded to me through Zoom. So if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to get to me, please put it in all caps or something to make it obvious for those who are monitoring. Thank you. Okay. I guess a bit of a recap, really, for just the energetics over the last few weeks, months, to give context for what it feels like is happening right now. The Ring of Fire eclipse, which I can't even remember the date that happened on, but that eclipse seriously feels like it opened a door, a portal or something, and that has not closed. And that we have been on a frequency uptick ever since. And then on the 31st of July, something happened. I have no idea what, but something happened. On the 31st itself, I began to get the visual, which I have talked about in one of the recent ones, of like a black and white on my left and a rainbow on my right. And it was like an old black and white monochrome television and a rainbow band. On the 1st of August, I was in that rainbow band, but right on the very edges of it. Now, you got to remember, please, that all of this is metaphor, visual metaphor for telling us a story about where we are and what's happening. What it feels like, what it looks like, is that we are literally on the Rainbow Bridge. But there's a bit more to that. If we go back to the original message from Lilu in 2018, she said that the final wave would start on the 31st of July and it would go for up to 4 weeks. Whatever that is, whether we're going to call it the 7th wave or whether we're going to call it something else, it doesn't really matter. But this period of time, this journey that we're in, did feel like it started on the 31st of July. And there are multiple pointers for something culminating or the next phase beginning on the 28th, this Friday. People have been leaving in very large numbers. And since the 31st of July, there's been an uptick. A friend of mine even has a friend who has lost 6 people in the last 2 weeks. There is something about this, though, that's very different. Another person who's close to me has lost someone close. And in feeling into that particular situation, what seemed very, very, very strong is that many of the people that are leaving now are acting as a magnetic anchor for those who will follow. I realize it's sad and I realize it can be tragic because some of these situations and circumstances are very tragic. But for the first time, it doesn't have a feeling of anything nefarious or targeting or, I mean, there may still be some of that in some very small number of situations, but at least the ones I'm personally feeling into, there doesn't feel like there's anything nefarious. It feels very much on point, on target, part of the process. So there's that. On the flip side, there are also miracles happening. Absolutely, miracles. I've talked over recent months about everything coming into the one, and we're coming into our one. It's my very firm belief that we have been on a single timeline now for some time collectively. But within that, there are multiple narratives, and we are making our own personal path adjustments as we go. There is still a level of personal choice in this. We are tweaking our own personal narrative and path all the time. There are still, another way of putting it, a friend of mine, one of the members says, we are being added upon, is how he is his words. And there is so that what I'm saying is there are still mergers, integrations happening with other aspects. And it feels very much like they've been hanging around for a while, trying to make this connection. And it's happening. There are miracle healings happening. Changes in personality, even as this added upon process is happening. It's mind-blowing to watch. I'd like to say it's happening to me personally, but it's not. Our ability right now for manifestation and intention is off the charts. We were told that part of this process would include our memories returning. That's part of what I'm seeing happening now over the last couple of weeks. This, whether you want to call it ascension or the event or whatever term you've got, the rapture, I don't know, whatever you've got, that everyone has been waiting for or working towards is in process right now. And it is a process. We're in it. We are so in it. And of course, it doesn't look anything like we thought it might. And the dominant frequencies seem to be changing every day. You might notice you go out some days and everyone's wearing masks and everyone looks like a bot. And then there are other days when no one's wearing masks and everyone's connecting in eye contact and feels like you're surrounded by humans and it's all lovely. And it's changing all the time. There has been a couple of experiences now where that feeling, it's like being in a 360-degree IMAX theater and this movie is playing out around you and you're just watching it all and watching the characters, and sometimes you can play the director and cue certain things to happen, and it's just bizarre. And it's like we are literally in our own personal individual little 360-degree IMAX theater that's custom made for us right now. This is all about waking up, as we've talked about for years. This is about trying to integrate and retrieve as much of our consciousness as possible. The next step, or the current step, because it's happening already for some, is the heart-mind connection. Now, one of my amazing friends is going through an incredible, miraculous experience of being added upon, as we would call it, and expanding. And he talks about what's going on with his consciousness and his mind as it's like we've been using our mind in manual. We've been using it manually when it's actually a quantum, well, he calls it the quantum mind. And the quantum mind is activated when the heart and the mind connect in a particular way. It's about being led from the heart, allowing the heart to make the choice, allowing the heart to guide. And then the quantum mind will then put forward, after it's worked out a number of scenarios, put forward the best course of action for that choice. But when you're mentally trying to figure things out, you're acting manually. So it's about allowing the heart to make a choice, following your heart, following your gut, following your instinct, and then allow the quantum mind to put forward the course of action. It's not easy. We're all out of practice. But that's what's starting to kick in. Bridge. There is a bit about, and again, cycles repeat. 2017, we were going through this with it. Physically felt like the right and left hemispheres of the brain were merging. This feels like it's happening on a higher dimensional level now. What else? No, I'll leave that. The 3-level thing that I've talked about before. Level 1 would be looking at the political scene, seeing left and right in the States, Republican, Democrat here, Labor, Liberal. Level 1 on the domestic front. The language, and I'm sure plenty of you have noticed it too, the language is starting to transcend that from left and right, Republican and Democrat, to it's good versus evil. Because there's good in both sides and there's evil in both sides. So we're transcending that. And it's becoming a choice between good and evil. And then you've got, say, level 2 would be on the more global scale. The 2 countries that are really front and center spotlight right now is the USA and China. Again, it's kind of the same template. The USA was based on a template of freedom, sovereignty, whether it's true or not, whether it's just on paper or not, whatever, but that's the consciousness template. And then you've got communist China, which is the complete opposite of that. It's the template of slavery, control. And they're the 2 at level 2 that are playing at. There's something about all of the water that's happening in China, which feels very much like a cleansing or a clearing of that frequency, that template. And I did have an insight about level 3 this morning, and it's since left me. So I'll get back to you on that one. But it is ultimately about good and evil, about our belief as well, our consciousness, our energy that allows and feeds the perpetuation. There's a lot of energy, around the election, even, or at least around the energy of what that represents in terms of, say, the people of the United States making a choice, making a declaration to choose of a choice between good and evil. But it feels like something is coming very, very soon. Maybe it's the 28th, but who knows? Some kind of reveal that will give everybody everywhere an opportunity to make that declaration. It's not just the States. I still can't see the election happening. It doesn't have, because what it represents, which is this declaration of everyone saying we choose freedom, we choose good, it feels like it's going to happen before that and be bigger than that, bigger than just the US. And it feels like it's going to come as a result of some kind of revelation. So there's that. There is a prophecy about the Three Gorges Dam out of New Zealand. Which is an interesting one to have come across. When the Three Gorges Dam goes, it marks the beginning of the earth changes and the world changes. And that's been going to go any day now for like a week, right? If there's like I said, there's a lot of different pointers from a lot of different places, whether it's prophecy, dreams, people who have a history of accurate predictions, all that sort of stuff, pointing towards this time period. The other thing that's a theme, using the analogy of the video game again, and it's like this is a 10-level video game and we've been on loop at level 9 over and over, getting reset, doing level 9. And then we finally kicked into level 10, which I think is what kind of happened at the eclipse. We finally went into level 10. And many are facing their final boss, the big boss of level 10. And that's that residual, whatever's residual core trauma, programs, fears, blocks, the false stories that we have about ourselves and our core wounds. It's like now is time. We're facing our final boss, the big boss. And when you put all of this together, for me, there's no denying that we are in the event, whatever that is going to look like, but ultimately, in the end. The Rainbow Bridge I mentioned earlier, I said there was something else on that. There's something about this Rainbow Bridge that feels like a decoy. Because the proverbial they would be looking for the Rainbow Bridge. And we're actually on the move in a different way. There's level 3. Level 1, national politics. The US highlighted, Democrat, Republican. Global, China, US. Level 3, Wuhan asteroid, Trump asteroid. And I kid you not. Look into those. They're level 3. National, global, galactic, whatever you want to call it. We are being squeezed, compressed in so many ways, and felt for a long, long time, but didn't really know what that meant, that this would get as bad as it needs to get in order to wake us up. And it's really up to us how bad it needs to get. And some people need more squeezing until they pop, which is unfortunate. but it seems to be the case. Some of you will also have this sense, and I've had it since before Christmas, I didn't think it would take this long, of role changes, whatever that means. You may be feeling right now like you are being prepped because your life and your role is going to change. You may feel like it may be showing up in dream time or whatever, where you feel like you're at school or you're in training or you're getting packets of information, you know, and it's all kind of there in the back of your head because you've been prepped for your next role. Okay. I think that's it, unless you guys can remind me of anything I haven't brought up yet. Have I frozen or something? Because the chat hasn't moved. No one's talking.
You're fine.
Okay. Is there anything I haven't brought up? Lisa, can you talk about Nasara Jasara? Not really. I'm not an expert on any of that. It does. Okay, I'll just address the energetics of it. It does feel like there is about to be a change in that sense. Freedom and abundance in that sense. But I don't know. My manual mind would say, I don't know if it's going to come under the banner of Nasara or Jasara. I think that's too connected to the old system still. It might be something completely different that we don't know anything about yet. But then again, maybe they will call it that because so many people have been looking for that, waiting for that. But I don't think the mechanics of it are going to be that. So, okay. And it feels soon. I should say that too. That feels soon. Okay. Is there any other questions? Or comments? No? All right, my work here is done then. Pay attention to your dreams, as always, yes. Energy of now and curiosity, yeah. Okay. Being in the now moment has never been more important because this whole period, this 4-week period, feels like one big now moment. And it is our energy of projecting forward in time that gets co-opted. So when you pull your energy back in and just be in the now, there's nothing to co-opt. And try and pull that energy of, like you really want it and need the changes or whatever it is you're invested in. If you can pull back on that and be in a place of just curiosity to see how just like you want to sit back and just watch the show, watch the movie, watch how it unfolds out of a sense of curiosity rather than an invested need for it to happen, then it's just continuing to starve the construct of the energy that it usually co-ops, and you're maintaining more of it for yourself, and and fueling your own now moment. Okay, I think that's the best way to say that. Any suggestions for the pressure cooker feeling of the vessel? Heart, mind, and spirit squeezed is the feeling, and feel very alone with this. Been meditating, breathing, and it's challenge. Yeah, there's a lot of us who've been through that. It literally feels like physically like your blood pressure's through the roof and you're about to pop. Heart palpitations, all of that. From in hindsight, looking back, there does appear to be a bit of an integration happening when that's going on. You're being added upon, more of you. You can try, if you haven't already, asking for the process to be more gentle. There may be somebody trying to connect with you. Just try and tune into that. And if anybody else has got any suggestions, let me know. Lots of water. Alkalize a little bit. Throw some juice, lemon juice or something in the water too, every now and then. It's not easy, and you can't really get rid of it. It's just a process. New voting system. Well, I can't speak to that because I don't know anything about it. I just know the rumours that everybody else is hearing too. And more about the lights flashing in the eyes from the last post about them trying to wake us from home. Sometimes it does feel like that, yeah. And some even will get the visual. They'll actually open their eyes and they are somewhere else and someone is doing that. It also, our eyesight is changing, our energetic eyesight as well as our 3D eyesight. And sometimes we're getting little glimpses of what's really there. Because this is an illusion. There's something right behind it. The veil is so thin. And sometimes we're seeing what's really there, getting a glimpse. Don't be freaked out by it. Just, go with it. Sometimes try and look at it, like see if you can see through it, or just play with it and breathe. Have I seen Shadowgate? That's the Millie Tory one, right? Yeah, I did see it. If so, any comments? It's just more being revealed. Everything will be revealed. A light will be shone in all the dark places. It's all going to come up. Who were the aliens in the massive ships, miles long, miles high, distinct blue and red marks in one area of the ship? Well, from what we've been told, most of it's home ships. Well, thank you, Michelle. I'd love to know if the recordings from home are actual recordings. What do you mean by that? Actual recordings. They are me opening up Zoom, pressing record, and the conversation ensues. Someone comes through the computer, it gets recorded. So I don't know how else to explain that. Heaps of electric flashes in the morning. If you want to clarify what you mean by actual recordings as opposed to something else. On yesterday, the gang, we did a doing for the first time in ages that was to support, well, firstly, it was to glitch the matrix just for a second and allow for people to, and support people in having a little moment of awakening. What was interesting was that all those charts and meters and, Schumann and all that sort of stuff seemed to glitch out at that time. So that was fun. And you can participate in that by just seeing people's eyes light up, switch on. Oh, wow. I've seen the flashes for years, but a couple of weeks ago I saw my bottom eyelids shining in the dark of my room in the middle of the night. Interesting. Magenta Pixie says that the hot flashes are affecting all. For women, it could be hormones or a food reaction. If that's not the case, like for men, it's Kundalini awakening, that your spirit is reconnecting to higher selves home. To welcome it and feel into it. Let it carry you rather than fight it. It's creative life force. Okay, comment. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when the energies come in, it's intensely hot. You can't get your gear off fast enough. It seems like 3D reality never felt less real. How is it even holding itself together? Well, not very well, apparently. Any big global shock will disintegrate it. Yeah, it feels like it's right there on the edge. Lisa, the New World Order taking over. I don't feel that at all. I think what you're seeing is every plan they had, all the stuff they had in the background ready to roll, is they're being forced to expose and show. Their behavior is so ridiculous. I mean, they may as well just write a confession, because it's nuts. They're just you're being shown what the plans were. But to me, there's no energy in that succeeding at all. And as much of it will need to come out as necessary in order for people to, like I said months ago, draw that line in the sand, make that declaration. I choose sovereignty. I choose freedom. I choose good. I choose love. I choose not that. Yeah, to me, they're not taking over. They're falling apart. Michelle, if you're on Facebook, you could send it to me there. Any messages from home or Lulu? Not since I last mentioned it, which was June sometime, where we were just told to calm down and let it all go. The mental torment we were putting ourselves through. The way running out of ammunition. I still see what's going on, like New World Order, whatever, as like a martial art, The bad guys, we'll just call them that. The bad guys can't do nothing. Otherwise, they just lose. They have to do something. So, like in a martial art, you allow your opponent to come at you. You let them throw all the energy your way, and then you use their energy against them, right? Flip them on their ass. So that to me is exactly what's playing out. They're being tricked, coerced, manipulated, whatever, to throw something at us, which is then used to flip them on their ass. And they're not creative. They only have one script. They've got this series of events that we're going to roll out, and that's all they've got to play with. And once all of those steps are exposed, which they pretty much are now, it's done. Oh, if that was a channeling that was recorded by some, no. No one channels. These messages from home are voices, people that come through the computer. It's no one pretending to like hear. Like reenacting a channeling or anything like that. No. Oh, what is the shift in the polls? Yeah. What's the shift there for Australia re-vaccines? Oh, if you've got a video, whoever asked me that before, Michelle, we've got an unplug to be free Facebook and an unplug to be free Twitter. You're welcome to post there too. Are they going to try and pull off their Project Bluebeam alien invasion? I really do think we're going to see stuff in the skies. I mean, we already are, but like en masse, things that are like, holy shit. And you're going to have people in a bunch of different camps. There are people who are going to think that's blue beam. People are going to believe it's an alien invasion. Some of us might think it's home. I guess it will depend on how that actually plays out. We're just going to have to trust our own intuition in the moment. But I don't know whether they have the means to pull that off anymore. Yeah. Are we really in the 21st century and or a future date? Is this simulation being programmed to make us think we're in the past? We're in whatever year the constructors designated us. I think they've added on an extra 1,000 years just in the last 2 anyway. So it's a game. It's a hologram. I mean, we don't know where we are, when we are in that sense, but I don't believe we are where we think we are anyway. Lately, this is not the construct that we grew up in. Why can't the controllers just tell us the truth? In a way, they are. They are telling you exactly how they feel about you. They are telling you exactly what they had planned for you. If you can see it, that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, someone said, when do we get to be set free from this slave matrix, black cube? That's what I meant by I don't think we're where we think we are. I think we are free of it. Everything we're going through right now is the revealing, bit by bit, in order to save as much consciousness, keep it intact as possible. There are, oh God, go back a couple of years where the majority of the people were. The number of people who have woken up since March is extraordinary. And it's still happening. There are people who a month ago knew nothing about anything and now know about adrenochrome and human trafficking. And who's involved? That's a huge leap. Any crack in the programming, any crack in the spell is a huge step forward in maintaining the integrity of the consciousness. And that's what this is all about. They could pull the plug on this. They could have pulled the plug on this place a while back, but too much would have been lost. Our minds literally would not have coped. Yeah, we have to write ourselves out of this story in a way that we can actually handle the story. And no matter how sick of this place you are, how much you see, how ready you think you are, we are still going to have our minds blown. I think. Even those who have kind of had memories and visuals of what's outside this place, to truly fully experience it, it's still going to be a shock to the system. So. Is it normal to be seeing these world events playing out symbolically in our own lives? Absolutely. Playing out on all levels? Yes. Are others experiencing the same? Yes. It happens at the personal level, it happens at the global level, and then it also happens at some more energetic code level. It's the same themes. And wow. 2017, to give you an example, 2017, a lot of work was done. All of the work was pretty much done on the energetic level. 2018, we saw a lot of it play out on the global scene, or at least start to get set up on the global scene. And then 19, things really kicked in on a personal level. And now all three levels are playing out at once. There are protests scheduled to take place around the world this Saturday. It'll be huge. Really? What are we protesting? Lockdowns, or vaccines, or children, or because I haven't seen it. Has anyone else experienced electronics or mechanical appliances begin working after being broken for a while? Things fixing themselves. I've got a few people who are breaking things, zapping things, depleting the energy supply out of things, but I haven't heard of a fix yet. So that's cool.
Lisa, we do.
Do what? Do we?
The iPad that turned on, remember?
Oh, yes, that's true. An iPad that was not charged and hadn't been for months, or touched in months, just switched itself on and opened up YouTube to a rather interesting YouTube video. Yeah, so there was that one. What's going to happen to all these sleepers? Well, to me, going off messages that we've been given from home, right? When this place ends, there's one of two places to go. Home or the temporary realm that Lilu had some part in, okay? We just call it Lilu's realm. And that is to give those who still need more time, but that's temporary. That is the world that seems to be getting set up now. So that set up here for those people who make a choice for good, but aren't necessarily awake, for just to give them more time. Kim Kogan of the Trust on our side for good. Is she legit in your opinion? That one's an interesting one for me. I had a complete deja vu with the whole thing. I was involved back in 2013 with Heather Tucci-Jarrett and the One People's Trust. So here I am seeing a woman with a banking background who talks about quantum and energetics, who has a trust and is going to save the world. And I went, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Here we go again. So it was all just a little bit too close to home, too familiar, too whatever. It just felt like, I don't know, a bit of a redo. So I haven't looked too closely. Now, it could be that Heather and the OPPT back then was a decoy or a co-opting for what Kim was really doing. It could be that, even though I know because Kim was around at that time too, doing things, I'm pretty sure. Or it could just be take two of trying to do something. I don't know. I'm steering clear of that one. I've, not my circus anymore. What I'm Ivy, what I'm seeing in the miraculous side of things with the people being added upon, we are all so much more. And that's a part of what I feel like is about to be revealed. That we will at least get a glimpse of who we really are. And part of the process that we're in is about letting go of these stories. You're not Ivy who has this story about yourself with this particular heritage and lineage and these life experiences. You are so much more than that. And the more that we can let go of those narratives, those stories, those beliefs, those attachments, the more we unplug from this place. It's going to be a shock, I think. Have the stars in the sky become non-visible in Australia since 19, like here in Arizona? I have noticed there's not as many. I mean, normally here in Australia, in this part of Australia, the Milky Way goes right over my head and it's just phenomenal. It disappeared completely for a while. Yeah, I mean, Australia's got some amazing night skies, and they're not what they were for me. So just to be clear, the government knows that this is a construct and that it is ending. It's amazing how they act so blind to that kind of stuff. To some degree, yeah, I believe so. There was a message in 2000, I'm going to say 18, I think, where we were told that home had made contact with governments all around the world and scientists, and they were being informed of what this place is and what's really going to go down. And there was a message also to what we're calling the deep state. the dark side or whatever. I don't have any, personally, I don't have any doubts that this is done. And we are literally watching the movie. The movie was wrapped back at the end of 17. We're sitting in the theatre watching the premiere. So it serves us all to not worry and feed that worry energy, feed that fear. And it's not about being ignorant. It's not about burying your head in the sand. Never ignore a hunch or a nudge or intuition about to act. But don't do it from a place of fear. That's cool. My phones and those around me always open and start playing stuff, even previously broken. Yeah. Home has said something about water and to drink plenty of it. Water holds light. The more water you are, the more hydrated you are, the more light you can hold. No, I don't think we're in another Hegelian dialectic situation. How do you deal with being under the surface level and knowing you can't go back to the surface when you realize that your whole life has been lied to you, has been a lie fed to you? Goes through the 7 stages of grief. And get to a place of knowing that you came here for a reason. And the reason was to end the lie. See if that helps. What about the Rainbow Bridge? It's a visual, a metaphor for the space that we're in that means to me that we are in the process of actually extracting ourselves. I heard the banks are going into lockdown on the 18th of September. Interesting. My friends and I both saw shadow beings today. Is something up? Yeah. You're potentially seeing what's really there just behind a veil. Yep. Something like that, John Daniels. If level 9 wrapped up at the end of 17 and Q arrived at the end of 17, maybe Q is the movie that sets up level 10. Yep. Very common to feel like you no longer need food. People's relationship to food is changing dramatically and constantly, and just go with it. Just follow your body, what your body's telling you. Why has it been harder for some to awaken? I feel awakened, but feel very empty right now. It's part of the process. It really is. But this too shall pass. No emotion, no regular sleep, exhausted, not happy, not sad, no joy, just, yeah. There is that, it's a disconnection. You've actually disconnected from one thing, you haven't reconnected to the other yet. You're kind of in this limbo space. And you feel like, you feel nothing, care about nothing. You're just in a void. Meditate and set your intention to connect to the bigger part of you, or the next step in your path, or whatever feels right. But it's like, you've unplugged from one switchboard, but you haven't plugged into the next one yet, and there's just no input. And it's a strange and weird place to be, but it does pass, is the only encouragement I can give you, really. Tap into that energy then of your this internal dragon energy. Try and connect with that. Tap into that. Allow it to awaken. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Is that it? I definitely feel like I'm pulling myself out of here. Oh no, it's interesting, huh? I guess it's the kind of psychic, intuitive experiences are also changing. Clearer, but different. The way the knowings and the energy and the info and everything coming in is different. It's changing. Sometimes confusing, and it's like you have to learn a new operating system. like you got an update and you got to relearn how to use it. And I don't know, I feel like that's just going to keep going. Yeah, no, some people really just do not want to see. I agree. There's an element here of no one wants to be wrong. No one wants to be a fool. No one wants to feel conned. I get that. But we all are. We all have been. And the sooner you can get over that and just accept that, the easier this whole process is. I mean, you learn that, for those who are inquisitive and have gone down lots of different rabbit holes over the years, you learn that. Shit, I believed that. Shit. That was a lie. And even the rabbit holes are lies. I think most of these rabbit holes that have been created are literally been there, false stories with dead ends that are just there to keep us busy. So we don't actually figure anything out. So even the truth that you think you've discovered about the lie is a lie. Just never stops. Sorry if you already explained it before, but how do you contact those back home? Can anyone do this? Energetically and telepathically, anybody can. Yeah. When it comes to communication through the computer, it's pretty much on their terms. I know that they're around and just won't say things. They just won't talk sometimes. Other times they will come in with their 2 cents worth in the middle of a conversation that I'm having with someone else. That part's on their terms. But energetically and whatever, yeah. And notice the anomalies, because sometimes it is a form of communication. Notice when your phone acts up, brings up some sort of random song or random video, or your computer, or whatever, your technology. But communication happens in so many ways. I had a message from the Mayans. Words Baha Aku. It means going to splendor and bliss. We are close. Nice. More on the dragons. There isn't any more, so it's a brief recap would be there was that, which I think I talked about on the last one, the visual of this huge armada of dragons coming in, and just before, like 2 days, I think, 2 or 3 days before all the fires started around the world. And we're still waiting to hear from the White Dragon. The White Dragon is going to make a huge global announcement of some sort. But again, timing is not something I'm privy to. Regarding food is not her friend, what Dana described, is it a way of her system protecting herself? I've lost the context for that. Sorry. Any great meditation for us? If you go to my website or my YouTube channel, I did share meditation or two that we did for them from the webinars. They're really good. They were really powerful. As far as meditation goes. The other thing I would recommend is listening to the audiobooks of Florence Scovel Shinn. You can find audiobook versions of her books on YouTube. She's like the original law of attraction metaphysical teacher back in the 1920s. Just to remind yourself, and it helps keep you in the moment. And that's it. If what works tomorrow, I don't know. Okay. I'm not even going to address that one. Okay. All right. Is that it? How are we going? How long have we been doing this? Okay. Okay. So Dana described food not being her friend, and Lightburn is asking if it is her system protecting her. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. But when you're using a lot of energy and you sometimes need to fuel up physically, when you're in periods of, say, healing and restoring yourself, you don't need to eat. You might find you go off food altogether. There's no hard and fast rules right now other than follow your heart, go with your gut, follow your instincts, whether it's on food or anything else. The only thing would be to keep up your water. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to say thank you for being here. But if there's any of the gang that would like to say anything or add anything at this point, now's your chance. Oh, I'm not up for hosting one of those, Bev. Anything, guys, that I've left out or should elaborate on? No? Okay. Well, again, sorry I didn't do one last week, but I really was knocked for 6. So we'll try and do these each Tuesday for a while. The next big something, shift, reveal, whatever, feels like it's this Friday, the 28th. So next Tuesday, I guess we can all reconnect and see if anything went down. So thank you, everyone. Bye for now.